So before I bring Cynthia up to talk about the survey, I want to just say the survey, like I said before, it is the most important part. Okay? There's going to be an opportunity to take the survey today. So maybe after you take the survey, there'll be some actual questions or suggestions, and please do feel free to bring them forward because that's going to help them so much. Miss Cynthia.
Aloha, everyone. I've had the pleasure of working with the group of volunteers that you all seem to know one another quite well. And I was kind of hijacking Hilo for the first 15 years of my life here. And so I'm working as a volunteer right now to move this process forward. Barbara has mentioned several times that she thinks the survey is the most important part, and I think it is a very important part. The most important part is getting the right people on the working groups. And I'm going to ask each and every one of you in this room to consider how you might fit in one of the working groups, because reading the data that the survey tells us is just the itty-bitty beginning. And we need to give that to people who will utilize it with their expertise and good, intention to bring the work to bear on our government and the people who support and guide our growth. So, that said, I've been working on the survey because I love details. And the survey has been created with 3 focus areas for how it can be taken. We have paper surveys today, and we're going to ask each of you to complete that. We have an online version, exactly the same thing. The same questions are asked. You can follow the link. The paper that you received when you came today has the link to the online survey, and it also has, we will be having locations in and around Pahoa Town who have agreed, businesses who have agreed to be a walk-in, pick up the survey, take it home, fill it out, bring it back. Some of our schools, our library, Lex Brody's when you get your oil change. So my hope, and I know everyone that I've been working with hope, is that every part of our community has an opportunity to respond to this survey. We're the people that always take the survey. I'm going to beseech you for help in getting this survey out to others, the people who typically do not respond to a survey. We really need your help with that. We have roughly, depending on what statistic you read, about 14,000 people in our area. Statistically, a good sample for a survey is about 2%. I like 5%, but for this survey I want 10%. I would like to hear from 1,400 people. If we have that, we'll have a reliable sample. And then it'll be up to the working groups to use that data to say, this is what the people said they wanted. This is what the people said they didn't want. And we are bound to listen to that. So, we're only some of us here today, and this is awesome and it's great, but if you know others, any group, sports team, community center, people that fish together, hunt together, dance together, play music, pray together, all of those groups, if you can help me and help our group get to them, if we need translation services for those who English is not their first language. We haven't gotten there yet, we haven't been asked, but we'd like to poise ourselves to do that. Also, over the starting next weekend, we are going to be doing outreach of the survey at some of our farmers markets, our shopping centers, and we're looking for people to help us do that. And that will be a walk up, take the survey, leave it with us, back and forth right then. People can take it home and bring it back. And I already mentioned there's the online capacity. All those paper surveys will be hand entered into the online tool so we can analyze the data in one batch. So it will all be exactly the same. There was something about the survey I really wanted to say. What was it? Oh, please only take it once. And it is, our reach is, though you will be asked to give some personal information on the survey, and it's non-identifying, I'm a male and a female, I live in the zip code, I don't. People who don't live in 96778 are equally welcome to take the survey. Like my son lives in Hollywood. So he grew up here. I'd like his voice in the mix. So you may have others that you want to send that link to. If you left your email address today, we will be mailing you the live link so you can just click it and go take the survey. If someone else in your house is going to take the same survey from the same computer, it won't work if you just click the link in the email. It tells you this on the paper, but I'm going to say it again so you've heard it twice. You have to copy it and paste it in the browser. Okay, so you can take multiple surveys from the same location. And I think that's pretty much it. If there's any questions about our survey process that seem really critical for now, we can ask them, and then we can, if we can't answer them, we'll write them down and we'll get back to you. Robin.
What is the deadline for taking the survey?
Survey period. We are going to be conducting the survey period through April 30th. Our outreach is over 2 weekends, March 31st, April 1st, April 7th and 8th. But then we'll keep collecting them for another 2 weeks. April 30th, we're going to stop collecting surveys and start a different process. We always want to hear from people, but the actual survey period will end. So about a month, a little more than a month. Thank you, Andrew. Okay, I think that's it.
You want to say how they sign up, or is that coming up?
I don't know. Just play it by ear here.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Cynthia. I failed to introduce our lovely recorder today, which is my beautiful daughter, Leilani. But I'm just mentioning that. I'm just mentioning that because it's funny. That's how I first met Miss Cynthia, when Lacey was in about 3rd grade and she was taking gymnastics or tumbling or something in Hawaii. So that's been quite a while, as you can see. But thank you for mentioning the working group, Cynthia, because that is coming up next, and that is, I'm sorry, you're right, the most important part, as it was for the PCDP. It really is, and that's where you guys are going to come into play. We are really, really hoping that a lot of you will step up to join at least one of the working groups. I'm just going to talk a little bit about what the working groups are going to be. There are 4 topic areas, which I believe Cynthia mentioned, and we're hoping to get volunteers to actually join the groups. Okay, and you can join the groups in a lot of different ways. You can show up just once. If you have like just the most amazing things to share with that group, you can, participate all the way through, which is what we're hoping. So there will be 4 topic areas, and they will be Malama Ika Aina, and in that group, people may talk about things like green spaces, things like that. There will be a growth management. Am I still on?
No.
Sorry, I'm sorry, I don't know what happened. Can you hear me in the back?
Yeah.
I can use my big voice, okay? If you can hear me, then I'll just keep going. The second group is going to be the growth management group, okay? This is a very important group. They're actually going to be looking at things like land use tools, zoning, things like that. There will also be a transportation group, very important. I think we all know, we all realize how bad the parking situation here is. Okay? There's only, so many things you can do in a small town like this. So I'm hoping to see awesome things come out of that group. Okay? So that's the transportation. And then there's also what's being called the Pahoa Road Design Group, or the Pahoa Road Design District. Okay? Do not get confused. This is not part of the transportation group. However, all of the groups will have information that will relate to each other or overlap with each other. And guess what? If you don't, then you're not doing it right. Okay? Because, it's obvious. You can't talk about transportation without talking about growth management. So those things are going to happen, and that's okay. The writers will figure it out. Okay? If you hope the Pahoa Road Design District group will be looking specifically at the Pahoa corridor. Sorry, the map's not available. At what they're calling the Pahoa corridor. That's the Pahoa main road. That's the main road where most all the businesses are, at least right now. I think that there's been some discussion that people would like to see the Pahoa Village corridor kind of stay the same. Maybe there's going to be discussions about the aesthetics, what things should look like. But that's basically what that group is going to be focusing on. Okay, so you have the 4 focus topic groups. You don't have to be stuck in one group. If you have something to offer one group, but you have expertise in another, that's fine too. Basically, we need all the help we can get. We do need working groups, however, that are going to see it through to the end. And the end in this case is, they're looking at about a 9 to 12 month commitment. Okay, they're hoping that the working groups will meet at their leisure, of course, but at least twice a month. Once every 2 months, the working groups are charged with having a public meeting, just like this, to explain to everybody what they've been working on, what they've been discussing, and then you'll be given the opportunity to give input at that time. So every time the working groups have their public meetings, which will be once every 2 months, the public will be invited to find out where they're at, what they're talking about, and anything else that you think is missing from the plan, okay? So you guys are going to have the opportunity to have input throughout the whole process. They're hoping to have their first written draft by December 1st. So the commitment's not that long. Yeah, I know. And we can do it. Guess what? We can do it.
I have a question. The highway interchanges, are those part of the Pahoa Plan?
The highway
Or is highway
interchanges.
the boundary? I was just wondering, is it part?
Now I'm wishing my map was there. Is it in the map? Do we have an answer?
There's a border.
I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
Not
It's in the Pahoa Plan.
Yeah, I don't believe so. But if you wanted to be part of the transportation group, you might bring that up there. I don't know. I can tell you that there is a plan for that end of Pahoa Town.
Yeah.
So it would be fruitless to try and plan for that. But what you might do is look at the plan that they have planned for that and go from there. Okay, now I'm sorry. I wasn't expecting questions and answers, but go ahead.
I just wanted to know how much money is available for these.
How much money is available for this? Good question. Guess what? There's no money available for this. I'm serious. But guess what? We don't need any money. We didn't have money for today's event, and look at how awesome this turned out. Which, by the way, I'm so happy more people keep coming. Thank you. But seriously, there is no money. I mean, if money was an issue, we wouldn't have the PCDP. Really, what we're hoping for, what we're counting on, is just the manao of the people. The planning department is offering all of the resources it possibly can. A lot of the printing, the maps, things like that is coming from the planning department, even though we have no money. The county has no money, people. We know this, okay? The other communities are just waiting.
Barbara,
Some,
yes. The county does have money in the sense that they have our tax money.
okay, thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Jenny.
Sentences, Barbara. There also is grant money and various other funding available.
Okay.
However,
Okay.
they ask you to bring the community together to show that there is an intent to follow or to develop a plan.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you. I'm sorry. I should have given you my script.
I
I should have given you my script because of course I was going to go there. Of course I was going to go there. Okay, so back to what I was saying. Basically, there is no money. Okay? So in that sense, there is no budget. There is no budget. There's no line item in the county budget. There's no, Larry doesn't have a budget for this. In that sense, there is no money. Of course, there's money out there. Yes.
What authority are you going to have, or do you have? I mean, when Congress doesn't come up with that, is the county going to go, oh, yeah,
Okay.
we know this is like you want?
Thank you, thank you. And that's the last question I'm going to take right now. I'm sorry. We're going to open it up for questions in a few minutes, but I didn't want to see you with your hand up there all day. I'm sorry. So, but to answer that question, and maybe you weren't here, but this is the Puna Community Development Plan being implemented. The Puna Community Development Plan was adopted by ordinance and became law in 2008. This exercise, this plan, is part of the implementation of that plan. That's where their authority comes from. That's where their authority comes from. Not only that, it comes from you folks. You guys are going to comment and have input into the plan. When they bring their first draft, you're going to be able to hear it. If you don't like it, you'll be able to offer your suggestions. That's the authority we have. We have the authority given to us by you folks, basically. But to answer the question, yes, the Pahoa Plan can either be adopted by itself as an ordinance and made law, or it can be part of an amendment to the Puna Community Development Plan, which has already been made law. So that's the authority they have. Yeah. And just getting to know the group that's doing this, the organizing group, I can tell you that it's not going to take long for them to start implementing the plan. Because look at how fast they've already come up with doing the plan. So I have no worries about that. But right now, I'd just like to introduce Rob Tucker. I'm sorry, I lost track of time. But I'd like to introduce Rob Tucker to talk just a little bit about his experience.